So to assign the user roles, what we need to do is modify the identity class. And let's go back to our Solution Explorer. Okay, so we are going to modify identity. And then we have to add the user role property to our model. And so we're just going to put it right above the task here. And we're calling it user role. I'm going to add the get set. Okay, and that is the only change we have to make to this. So let's save it. Then, after adding it to the identity model, our next step is to enable migrations and update the database. Now, if we were going to modify web config and change the database name, then we would have to actually wait to run the app until everything was done. What we're going to do is we're going to actually just kind of finish this off. And then we're going to run our migrations. But you definitely have to run the migrations in order to update the database. So what we're going to do next is add the user role property to the register view model. So where is the register view model? That is inside the account view model. Okay, and if we look, you should see register view model. Let's open that up. Okay, so nothing new here as far as how a model looks. What we need to do is find the public class register view model. We've got verify, we've got forget, we've got login. Okay, so here's register view. And after the email is where we're going to put this new column. And this is going to be required. This is for the user role. And we're going to throw display name in here. And this is a string. It is called user role. And we've got the get set. Do another little save here. And so we've got our new column now in a model. And we need to change the view because right now the view is not including it. And this would be the register view. So let's open that up. And we need to include the option for user roles. And so we're going to put it right after email. And we want the email and the password information to be together. So we're going to put this right above the submit button. All right. And so what I think I'm going to do, just because I don't like typing, I'm going to actually copy some of this. And we need to modify it. But div class form group is correct. The label for is a correct, except for this is a label for the user role. But the class information is correct. The second div here is also correct. What we need to change, it's not a password. Okay, we are going to add a radio button. And so we're adding this for user role. And instead of, actually, after user role, we have to give it a little heading here or a value. And for new class, this is a radio inline. And we're going to throw the label after the button. Okay, so once you've got that in there, you want to make sure you do this one carefully because we're going to be copying and pasting it. And we're going to paste it 3 times. So our second user role is manager. And that needs to be changed over here as well, where we've got the label. Our third one is user. Change that over here. And the last one we said was visitor. And at this point, we have modified our view. So we're going to save everything. And I should mention, so after we initially run this, you probably are going to want to comment out admin and manager because they're going to have more permissions than everybody else. We're going to keep them in here for ease of use and to make sure everything is working. And at that point, it would be a really good idea to take them out. Otherwise, you're allowing people to have all sorts of control in the application. Uh, we still need to modify our account controller register method. So let's go in there. And find that register method wherever it may be located. There it is. And we want the post. So here's our post one. Now you'll notice that it's specifying what columns it's using, and we need to add to this list because user role is not included. And we need to add a little line above the return. Okay, so we're just basically telling it that it needs to add to user role the ID and the actual user role that we have selected. So at this point, let's do a save all, run a build. And then before we can run this, because we have changed the database, we need to do an add migration. And because we have multiple contexts, we have to tell it where the configuration is located. And then we have to also give the file a name. So we're telling it the configuration information is in application context migrations dot configuration, and we're going to give this a name of user roles. So it's going to put the date timestamp in front of user roles and create the file. And then we can update the database. Okay, because remember at this point, if we look in user roles, all it's doing is saying that we need to add a column. Okay, the column actually hasn't been added to the database. Update database will add the column. So again, we're telling it where the configuration file's located, and we're using verbose so we can see all of the commands. Okay, and at this point, we're going to run the app. And let's add a couple more users. Okay, and you'll see that we have the option buttons now. So I'm going to add an administrator, a manager, and a visitor. We'll use the Scooby Gang. All right, Shaggy is going to be an administrator. Let me log him out. And we'll do Scooby. Scooby will be a manager. And let's do one more. Do Scrappy. Scrappy is going to be a regular user. Okay. And then right now, as of right now, they all can create, edit, do all sorts of things because basically, as long as they're logged in, we're giving them full access. And what we're going to do is change that. So let's exit out. And we're going to define very specific user roles. And this involves just adding a parameter to authorize. So if we go into our membership controller, where we have authorize, we're going to say roles equal admin and manager. Okay, and let's save it. Let's run a build. All right, so if we log in as Scrappy, Whoop, .com. All right. We try to create. It's not going to let us because Scrappy is a user. He is not a administrator or a manager. But if we log in as Shaggy, it does let us get in there. Also, if we were to log in as Scooby, oops, it should also let us do any of the CRUD functions. So at this point, we have added migrations for multiple context files, and we have added user roles and applied them. So what you guys are going to need to put on GitHub is this project, or if you would prefer just running it for me during lab, I can check you off and you'll be good to go.